Hey guys, I'm Azra, and in this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video, I'm going to show you a guide about Imrahil. This commander belongs to the category of commanders who desperately need a rework. They are kinda okay, but not good enough to be in the meta, which is why they aren't being used at all. And in this video, I'm going to show you what's going on with Imrahil. So right off the bat, he's a leader type commander, which is okay, that fits his skill, but there is still something lacking. I think his build could be even better if we were to change a few things, but we will get to that part in a moment. In regards to his attributes, we see that he is kinda an all-rounder with his stats, but I still believe that his main stat is might. This is what he truly needs to be more effective. He has no skills that scale with focus. He has just one skill that scales with speed, which is an active skill and is letting Imrahil do damage by himself every 3 rounds. That is his skill Cleave. But even then, this is not what Imrahil specializes in. So might it is. Go all in with your might. Boost this as much as you can. I'm going to show you the Retaliate build in this video, which revolves around a weapon such as the Lang weapon, or let's say if you have the Matic of the Iron Hills, this too has Retaliate, or the Nightfall. And I think this weapon should be his best choice, since it also has speed. Alright, so this is my gear right now, with the scale mail, with the full helm, and with the Hiflane. Now let's check out his skills. To the bottom, respect 0, 3, we have the Fair. This is a damage dealing ability. Every 3 rounds you're going to deal damage. And on your 4th round, you're going to get initiative for your units. You see, like, is it really worth it every 4 rounds to have initiative? That means we will have it active only 2 times. Why didn't they change this and like give you whenever this skill is activated initiative? That way it would be more reliable. But just by looking at this, every 4 rounds initiative, I don't think that this is good enough. And let's not even talk about the damage this is going to deal. It's not anywhere close to what Thorin is doing. In my opinion, Thorin is among those commanders who is dealing a bit of both, boosting his army and also dealing damage by himself. And he's also dealing much more damage than this. So if Imrahil wants to be anywhere close Thorin, this needs to be buffed. And also the maxed out effect is just battle experience plus 5%. Now game developers, you should, like, please, you should change this maxed out effect to be something that brings value in combat. I don't know, like Warrior of the Lonely Mountain, maybe minus 50% fire damage received or focus damage received, but not battle experience plus 5%. That needs to go away. And then we also have Brawler, like this is boosting the commander damage against melee units by a certain percentage. That could be okay if Imrahil was a glass cannon, but he isn't. He is an army booster, so why do we have the skill even here? This too needs to be changed. Cleave, well, yeah, this is boosted by the speed stat, but again, he isn't a glass cannon. He is an army booster. Why do we have this? And to the top we have Ally. Now this is a core skill for the Retaliate build, but unfortunately this is nowhere close to the HP recovery of Balin's Retaliate build. I think when you max this out, you get 45% HP recovered whenever your man units deal physical damage. Compare this to Balin. Balin has 150 HP recovered, which is also the reason why I think this needs at least to be buffed to 90% HP recovered. At least 90%. The maxed out effect is also not that great, it's just plus 1 HP for man units. So game devs, again, this needs a buff. To the top we have Reinforcement, which is allowing 2 of your allied units to recover a certain HP, like on round 7 and onwards it says, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I never used this. I just couldn't figure out how to get max value out of this. And then Fortify, I think this is too situational. you get a certain percentage physical damage mitigation whenever you are defending. Come on, like this can be better than this, right? This is too situational. Whenever you defend, no thanks. At respect 3 level we have air. This is giving your units a defense boost on every round, and when you max it out, it is also giving you more focus. Like, so what? This isn't good enough. Why the plus 15 focus when we max it out? It doesn't make any sense. Then we have nobility. I'm okay with this. Like, that makes sense. This also works with his retaliate build. But do I really have to sacrifice so many points into air just to get nobility? So something needs to be changed over here. Gallant, I think that doesn't make any sense. He isn't a glass cannon. He doesn't really need this. Then at respect 5, Prince of Dol Amroth. Now this is interesting. His mounted units get a speed buff, which they don't really need, right? Since mounted units are already fast enough to get the first hit. But what is amazing is that mounted units get stun and madness immunity, both, which is already worth enough to put 1 point into this. When you have maxed it out, your horsemen, knights, cataphracts, and swan knights get an HP boost of plus 6, which is kind of okay. But why are we locked into Gondor mounted units only, like horsemen, knight, cataphracts, swan knights? Why couldn't it state mounted units? So that way you can also include, let's say, Rohan T4 units, marshals, or Bree riders into your army comp. So I think the maxed out effect needs to be changed. To the bottom we have coalition, and I'm kinda not okay with this because it states man units get a certain percentage chance to deal highest damage, while your elven units get a certain percentage chance to gain initiative. So my problem with this talent is everything he has, Imrahil has, is revolving around man units. Like here, ally is revolving around man units. And then this nobility for man units increase damage. And this, man and elven units? Come on, why can't we have, let's say, this skill also include elven units and also ally include elven units? So it is kind of a waste, right? If you include elves into your army and they don't benefit from your top respect 0 title, as well as from the bottom skill in your respect 3 tree. So this too needs to be changed. At the top we have mounted combat. This is giving your mounted units a 20% chance of dealing an additional strike that deals physical damage. I'm okay with this, but keep in mind that this benefits your army more the more different units you have in your army. 3 units are more likely to have this triggered than 1 unit or 2 units, right? This is just simple math. So in our retaliate build, we won't get that much value out of this. But still, you should know whenever your retaliate build hits, it also has a chance of triggering mounted combat. So this is great news. It also has a chance of triggering coalition, like dealing max damage for your man units. Now let me show you how you can build Imrahil with his retaliate build. First, you can put 1 point into a Prince of Dol Amroth just to get the stun and madness immunity. Then jump back to ally, put everything into this, max it out. We will need the self-sustain in our leveling phase. Then we jump back to Prince of Dol Amroth. You can just go back and forth between mounted combat and also between coalition. Like go back and forth between these 2 skills over here and also your title. Now let me speed this up. And from here on onwards, we don't have many things to pick. We go back to respect 3, put whatever we have here and go back and forth between air and nobility. We want our units to strike as hard as they can, and nobility is going to boost our man units even more. And also with increased defensive stats, they will be a bit more bulky. And there you go, this is your retaliate build for Imrahil. Let's summarize the strengths and weaknesses of Imrahil, starting with his strengths. So retaliate, right? That is very strong against melee builds. And that is also true for Imrahil. That is his first strength. His second strength is his self-sustain. And unfortunately, this isn't anywhere near in comparison to Balin. Only 45%. This definitely needs a buff, bring it all the way up to 90% at least. Then his last strength would be that his army is immune to stun and madness. In regards to his weaknesses, oh boy, Imrahil has a lot. His first weakness is because of Retaliate. He is very vulnerable against a melee ranged army composition. His second weakness would be anti-cavalry. They are easy to conscript, very fast to conscript, and a direct counter to Imrahil's mounted units. Imrahil is doing nothing but running mounted units. They are hard to conscript, and that is a weakness. His third weakness would be, well, kinda obvious, right? Anti-healing because of ally. This will shut down our self-sustain. And then, since we are running just one stack of a unit in our army, we are kinda open to debuffs. Imagine if someone is throwing a minus defenses debuff on your army. That would mean that that one stack of a unit has that debuff for your whole army. Another weakness would be evade. We can't deal damage as long as our units can't hit that target. Another weakness would be elemental damage. And unlike some dwarven commanders who have Warrior of Lonely Mountain with minus 50% fire damage received, he doesn't have anything like that, which I think he needs. Witch Kings with Alchemists are just going to destroy him. And also Saurons with focus damage. And his last weakness would be, of course, high upkeep costs. Mounted units are just expensive. It is what it is. Let's check out his gear. So, since we are running Retaliate, we do need one of these weapons to the top. Be it Nightfall, Matic of the Iron Hills, or Lang. I think the best choice is Nightfall because of might and speed. And then as our armor, if you are fighting evil sides, you need the superior hauberk with fire protection. If you are fighting Sauron, you will need quilted armor with focus protection. But you can also use this against good side. You know, Oathbreakers, Keepers, Gandalf the White, Galadriel, and so on. If not, you can also make do with Scale Mail and Melee Vigor. Now, the full helm is a great helmet for his Retaliate build, because it has Inspire. This will boost the damage of that one stack of a unit a lot. If you want to be very specific and you want to counter Witch King, you can pair your hauberk with fire protection and full helm with blinding barrier and just run knights. One full stack of knights, and this will be a hardcore counter against Witch Kings, which you are going to see in the reports in a moment. If you don't have these special effects, you can also make do with Melee Vigor, but I do think the best option is Inspire and then Blinding Barrier. Last but not least, we have Hiflane with Mend, and this is just mandatory since there isn't anything else that makes more sense for Imrahil. In regards to golden gear, well, I wouldn't exchange my purple gear since the elemental damage is covering the biggest weaknesses of Imrahil, but if you kind of feel like it, hey, go and have fun with the Plate of the Citadel and also Fortitude of Man. But just as I said, the purple gear is better for his elemental damage coverage. As helmets, you can also go with the Swan Helm and Arrow Suppression. Remember, one of his biggest weaknesses in his Retaliate state is melee and ranged army compositions, and this is going to at least a bit mitigate that incoming ranged damage. So I do think that Swan Helm with Arrow Suppression is the best choice. If you don't have this, make do with Fortitude of Man. If you don't have the Swan Helm at all, how about the Cask of Pride? This has lots of might and also a lot of defenses for your melee units, followed by Fortitude of Soldiers, which is great overall. And then as our accessory, I have decided to go with our Antdraut. Lots of army HP, lots of might, but above all, it is giving him more plus recovery, which he desperately needs, right? He has only plus 45% self-sustain. We need to boost this, and I think the Antdraut is the best option over here. Is Imrahil's Respect 10 item worth it? I think it is not. Let me explain why. Imrahil wants might, a lot of it, and it wouldn't hurt to also get plus attack or plus HP onto this item. I'm okay with the defense, but I would like HP even more. And look at the special effect. Each round, allied man units a certain percentage chance of removing a random debuff when defending. I'm not against the removal of a random debuff. That is great. Actually, that is covering one of his biggest weaknesses for his Retaliate build. But what is the issue about this situational trigger whenever he is defending? I'm not okay with this. Remove this situational trigger and I'm happy with this. How about we remove allied man units and make it more general? Remember, the respect 10 item of a commander is supposed to be his best choice for that slot. And I think we would be at a very competitive state if we were to apply the changes I just suggested. Plus might, plus attack or HP, remove the whenever defending effect, and there we go. In regards to Imrahil's troop composition for his Retaliate build, I would suggest something like this. You know, it is pretty straightforward as long as you have a man unit in your army. I have tried out Bree Riders, also Rohan, T4 Marshals. I have also tried out Knights. But yeah, this is your go-to. 100% Cataphracts or 100% Knights and you are good to go. Why am I saying this? Well, Imrahil is boosting man units, so you benefit having nothing but man units in your army. It could also be something like this, you know? How about 98% Cataphracts and then just 1% Sentinels and also 1% Hunters to have that damage redirection towards them in cases that, let's say, a Witch King is convenering with Alchemists. You don't want your Cataphracts to eat that damage. You want those hits to be redirected to these two decoys. There you go, like this is already good to go for your Retaliate build. And you can also replace Cataphracts, of course, again with Knights. That too works. And what I like about Knights is they are easier to conscript than Cataphracts. How about you just conscript Cataphracts and Knights, and whenever that one stack of a unit is depleted, you switch over to the other. And there you go, you are ready for combat. Alright, here we are in the battle reports section. And right off the bat, I must give a big shout out to Flex. He was a big help in gathering these reports. I was running out of time and he, on a short notice, was ready to help me. So thank you, Flex, for providing us these reports. Now let's see what is going on over here. So my Imrahil has equipped, of course, Lang with Retaliate and then Quilted Armor with Focus Protection. So I was already very prepared against Sauron. Sauron is doing lots of focus damage. And then I also have Full Hand with Remotivate and Hiflane with Mend. This is the build I have and this is the result. So as you see, I was very prepared for this strike. I knew I was about to get hit by Sauron, and not everybody has that luxury. I could have been hit by a Witch King and this could have looked very different. Let's see how much damage we have dealt. Only 180k damage and Sauron 188k damage. I'm not really fond of this report. I was very prepared with Focus Protection. This could have looked very different. And also, I think my economy has suffered much more than his. He has 2 anti-cav units which are easy to conscript. I consider this a loss for us. Let's look at the detailed view. 12k from Imrahil and the rest, as you see, from the Cataphracts. Now in this report I am fighting against the same Sauron, against Flex, but I was curious. I swapped out my Cataphracts with Guards of the Tower just to see, is there any change in the report? And somehow it is kinda okay if you ask me. This is the details, damage received. We have done 170k damage to Sauron and he has done around the same amount. So I am kinda surprised. This is kinda okay, acceptable. We have the same gear, nothing has changed. And this is the damage we have dealt. But the build is a bit different. Since, you know, I don't need to put points into boosting the damage of my mounted units or survivability with madness and stun immunity. I've spent everything into some damage for Imrahil himself, and there you go, this is the outcome. So this was kinda acceptable. And then I got curious. I wanted to know how this report would look like if I wasn't running the Retaliate build. So I reverted back to 3 mounted units in my army and also equip the quilted armor once more. This is my gear. Cutlass with melee might, focus protection, horseman's helm with mounted vigor. I don't need to use resolve or warding because I already provide stun and madness immunity with a respect 5 title. And also I have a flame with mend over here. And this is kind of disappointing, right? Hard to conscript mounted units, and this is what we get? Let's look at the detailed view. Almost 100k damage from our side, and Sauron has almost done 300k damage. Wow. This is a big lose for us. And I think it is safe to say that Imrahil works with Retaliate much better than his multiple units in his army build. How about a Witch King report? Now here we have one, again against Flex. So Imrahil's gear is this. I have swapped out my quilted armor with Hauberk and fire protection. Blinding barrier in this case, since I am running knights, I am providing maximum elemental damage coverage right now. I have reverted back to my mounted units build as you see, and this is the outcome. And I'm kinda okay with this, like, this is actually good, I can accept this. And as you see, Imrahil needs a lot of investment, like Retaliate, very hard to receive, the superior Hauberk and fire protection, this is very hard to get for a good side, and then full hand with blinding barrier. Heavy investment just to receive this outcome. It is worth once you are there, like then Imrahil is okay, but I still believe he needs some buff to be in the meta. Now this is the detailed view, and this is the Witch King's gear. As you see, biz gear overall. This Witch King, he knows what he's doing, and he's also running his meta build. And this is the detailed view. We have done almost 170k damage, and Witch King around 180k damage, and then you see 150k damage with our knights, Imrahil only 70k damage. I am kinda okay with this report. And here we are fighting against the Witch King again, but this time I have swapped my knights with guards of the tower. And let's see, the gear, still fire protection, and this time I just changed the Fulham special effect from blinding barrier to remotivate. Since, you know, like, my guards of the tower wouldn't benefit by blinding barrier. It is what it is, this makes much more sense. And look at this, even with fire protection from my Hauberk, we just get devastated, no chance. Like, no way we are competitive enough to stand our ground. The Witch King hasn't changed his gear, everything is the same, and this is the view. We have done only 106k damage, while the Witch King has achieved 374k damage. That is a lot. This is the view, the detailed view. Like, I'm not satisfied with this outcome. And also look at our spec. Again, I have switched back from the Respect 5 build, since that is only boosting mounted units, to this build over here. Still not enough. And then this got me curious again. I wanted to see how Imrahil is doing with a multiple unit army against the Witch King. This is my gear. Instead of Lang, I'm using Cutlass. This is much better for a multiple army. Hauberk with fire protection. Horseman's helm with mounted vigor. As you see, I'm back with my Respect 5 title here. Stun and madness immunity. My mounted units have this buff. But it's still not enough to beat the Witch King. The complete wipeout. Detailed view, we have done only almost 70k damage, while the Witch King, ooh, 414k damage. That is a lot. And this is our detailed view. And this is a joke. Last but not least, I also had a report against Gil-galad. So this time I have to thank the player Nox. He was very kind and helped, jumped in when I asked for it. We managed to get 3 reports. So this time, since I knew I was fighting a Gil-galad, I equipped an item that is kinda a hardcore counter against Gil, which is the Nightstar with Tactical Mark. So I'm running Retaliate again, Horseman's Helm with Mounted Vigor, with Hauberg because of might and lots of defenses. And this is my build, my Retaliate build. But do you see this? This is a hardcore counter against Retaliate, a mix between ranged and melee units. This is very hardcore. And this is Gil-galad's gear, Elven White Knife, Scale Mail with melee vigor, Prepper Suit with Hysteria, Harp of Lothlorien, and of course the meta build for Gil-galad. And this is the detailed view. We have done only 82k damage and Gil 308k damage. That is quite the difference. Our detailed view is just disappointing. And speaking from an economy standpoint, this is a big loss for us. You see, Heralds and Sentinels are very easy to conscript. This is a win for Gil-galad. In this fight, I have swept my Retaliate weapon and have reverted back to my multiple unit army just to see how Imrahil is doing against Gil-galad. In my army, I have Knights, Swan Knights and Cataphracts just to get the maximum benefit of his Prince of Dol Amroth title and the plus HP for his mounted units. You know, I was just curious, wanted to see, is there going to be any change? As a weapon, I'm running the Cutlass with melee might again, I have the Horseman's Helmet with mounted vigor, and Nightstar and Tactical Mark, Hauberg with fire protection. I could have used something else instead, but still this isn't a big game changer. This is the outcome, very disappointing. Gil-galad has nothing changed in his gear, everything is the same. And this is the view. We have done only 111k damage versus Gil-galad's 334k damage. Wow, such a big disappointment. Last but not least, I have used other mounted units in this case. I didn't go with Knights and also Cataphracts. I have gone with Marshals and also Bree Riders just to see if this is going to be a game changer. Well, it did change a few things, but it wasn't really a game changer. Now let me show you why. Imrahil's gear, you see I have changed to the Scale Mail instead of the Superior Hauberg, but still everything else is the same. This is my build. I've also put a few points into the fair just to get the initiative in the 2 rounds, like on round 4 and 8. This is going to be proccing, and also a bit of this damage, you know, just to chip away a bit of his units. And this is the outcome. Gil-galad's gear hasn't changed, it is the same. This is the detailed view. 157k damage from my side against 257k from Gil. So Gil has done 100k more damage than Imrahil. And this too is kind of disappointing. It's better, but it's still disappointing. But yeah, this is my research in regards to Imrahil. If you are maining Imrahil and you have a better build for him, a better troop composition, please let me know in the comment section below. Unfortunately, Imrahil belongs to the category not good enough and needs heavy investment to be playable in the meta, but even then he isn't going to shine. Which is why, game devs, please give him a rework or at least buff his abilities. He desperately needs it. And that's it from my side. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like and consider subscribing. I see you guys next time.